Welcome back to the Pig Trail Show. We just talked about Arkansas football's recruiting report. Now we're going to our Hog Hoops report with Hogville insider Kevin McPherson. Kevin, happy Sunday. Thank you for taking the time with us.
Great to be with you, Nick.
Now, a few weeks ago, Arkansas men's basketball ended their limited summer practice. Let's revisit that, though. Out of all those weeks, what really stood out to you with Arkansas in their summer practices?
Well, the biggest thing I think is when you look at the way Eric Musselman builds a program, it's year to year. It's not as much long term. So you have a lot of roster turnover. So there's a lot of experimenting and tinkering during practices. So you're seeing a lot of different lineup combinations, a lot of personnel packages. And Arkansas last season, through the summer and all the way up until the start of the season, continued to kind of scramble things around, mix things up, try different things. And we saw how that translated. By the end of the year, that team was one of the top 10 teams in the country, and then back that up with an Elite Eight run. So, my guess is it's going to be a lot more of that because you've got a lot of turnover again, a lot of new players. So I think Arkansas obviously did some of those things, trying a lot of different looks in the summer, but that's just going to continue. I look for Arkansas to continue to, that nothing's given, everything's got to be earned. That's always the case. But I think the staff, it does a great job of identifying, what player groups are going to bring matchup problems for the other team, what player groups are going to pose Arkansas's best offense, best defense. And then I think Eric Musselman, even though he has an idea of what his rotations are, he's going to continue to figure those things out because at the end of the day, he's probably going to play a tight 6-7 man rotation. He always does. But he'll have those guys 8, 9, 10, and even 11 to interject when he sees a matchup advantage, or maybe it's just he sees an opportunity for Arkansas to take advantage of something. So I really think that's the biggest thing that I take out of this because it worked last year. And obviously they're going through the same process this year. As far as individuals, I'm told JD Note has spent a lot of time in the weight room. He's definitely improved his physicality. I think that's big. When you look back at last season, one of the quickest, fastest players with skill, but to add some extra strength to deal with contact, I think is going to go a long way for JD Note. And he's also worked really hard to improve as a player. From everyone I talked to, casual observers to folks that were at practice, KK Robinson was one of the players that stood out. I kept hearing it over the summer. So we'll see if that continues to be the case when they get back to school and get back to practice. Jalen Williams, the big man from Fort Smith, has really taken on a leadership role, and he's really big, one of their key communicators out on the floor. You've got to have guys that are floor leaders and that are great at communicating. Not everybody is, but Jalen Williams has emerged as one of those guys. And then when I look at a guy like Stanley Umide, the 6'6" transfer from South Dakota, by the way, he's one of the top 10 returning 20-plus scores in college basketball, averaged over 21 points a game. But my understanding is he really picked up on the terminology that the staff uses very quickly. So, the impression is he's already had really good coaching. He's obviously going to get that at Arkansas. But a guy that's versatile, he's going to be a 3-4 combo. He'll be able to play on the wing, but he'll also, when Arkansas plays small ball, he's going to be able to take advantages as at that 4 spot with guys that are bigger, because of his skill level and some of the things he can bring to the table. And he's also a volume rebounder at that 6'6" frame. So Arkansas's got a lot of good things to work with, coming back from the summer. I think they've identified some things that have been working well for them, and they'll continue to, again, they're not going to just say, okay, here's 1 through 5. They're going to mix things up, Nick, until they're ready to open up the season in November.
And they got a lot of people they evaluate, new people coming in. You mentioned Stanley Moody, Audis Tony, Chris Likes, Jackson Robinson. There's a lot of new faces on this team. So it's going to be a completely different Razorback team from what we saw last year, because a lot of these guys, Kevin, have made their way into the pro ranks. And you can see a lot of them right now playing in the NBA Summer League, highlighted by first-round pick Moses Moody, but there's a few more also. What have you seen out of the NBA Summer League and those pro Hogs?
Well, so far, Moses Moody has shown well for himself. He's averaging 17 points a game in the Las Vegas Summer League. If you throw in the California Classic before the Las Vegas event, he's averaging 17.5 points. He's shooting over 40% from 3 when you factor in all the games he's played in. And then again, he's rebounding the ball well. He's been really good, I think, in spot up, catch and shoot from 3. He's had some ups and downs with putting the ball on the deck and creating a shot inside the arc. But in his most recent game where he had 22 points for Golden State, he had a lot of different ways that he scored, including drives to the basket. So if you remember his freshman season in Arkansas, the first couple of games, struggled a little bit finishing in transition, the speed of the game, the physicality, but he's a smart player. That's the thing that stands out. It's not just the talent, it's not just the measurables, but how smart he is and how confident he is. And he figures things out on the fly pretty quickly. So the NBA Summer League is not the NBA. All right. These are younger. These are the hot names from the NBA draft just a few weeks ago. A lot of second year players. You've got veteran journeymen that really haven't played much in the NBA, mostly in other places, trying to make it to the league. And then you've got undrafted free agents. So it's a hodgepodge of guys that aren't quite ready for prime time. Now, some of these lottery picks and some of these guys that just came out of the draft they'll prove to be during the NBA season. But for the most part, this is not at the same level. I think folks understand that. But Moses Moody's shown well, as has Isaiah Joe, the second-year pro with the Philadelphia 76ers. He's right now shooting over 40, right around 42% from three. But it's the volume, Nick. It's a different NBA game now, has been for a few years in terms of spacing the floor. You got fewer and fewer traditional big men and more players, whether they're tall, shooting guard size, point guard. You're looking for players that can get up a volume of shots from three. And Isaiah Joe fits that bill. 4.7 makes from three in the Summer League is the second most. He's tied for first in takes at 11.3 3-point shot attempts per game. But he's averaging 17 points. So both he and Moses Moody, out of 400 plus players at this Summer League, are in the top 30 scoring. So that says a lot about how both are performing. Isaiah Joe's also averaging 5 rebounds a game. That's really strong number from the guard position. And then he's also shown that he can handle the ball and be a facilitator. I think that's really opened a lot of eyes. He's made some highlight reel fancy passes, but it's really, if you really watch the way he moves the ball, because he's always been economical with his own dribbling, but he gets off the ball and he makes good passes to set others up, promote the flow of the offense. And he's a good defender. So both he and Moses Moody, right now, if you're watching what they're doing in the Summer League, they project as rotational players, true rotational players. With Moody, and if Klay Thompson's healthy at Golden State, he's not going to come in as a starter, but he is going to fit into that second unit. I think Isaiah Joe now has a chance to climb into the second unit as a consistent rotational player. And then just to round off the other names, Mason Jones with the Washington Wizards Summer League team, averaging double figures. He's a primary handler when he comes off the bench. So he has had some really good moments and stretches in games. And then you've got Justin Smith and Jalen Tate also playing in limited action. But you have 5 Pro Hogs in the Summer League that it's going to wrap up here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, Smith with the Miami Heat, Tate with the Houston Rockets. It's exciting to see that those guys, hopefully those last 3, earning their way onto rosters. I know that the Summer League is really big for developmental people and also for those who are really wanting to prove that they can earn their way into a 2-way or a 10-day contract. But one guy who doesn't need to prove anything more actually just got a new contract extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. Bobby Portis, right back home in Little Rock this weekend with his foundation, Kevin, working a lot, holding some camps. Have you been able to get any updates with what he's done in Little Rock?
I did, Nick. And, you and I had a long 25-minute interview with him a few weeks ago. I wanted to follow up on a few more questions I had with him, but really just to come and see him interact with the youth at his camp on Friday. It's really something to behold. His energy, his enthusiasm, it's not just an affection for the game. It's an affection for people. And Bobby Portis has that. And that's why I think he's the ambassador of Arkansas Razorback basketball in terms of a player, not only being great at Arkansas, but transitioning and showing success at the next level. He's the people's champ in Milwaukee. Was so popular with the Bucks before they won a title, but during that run, it just continued to grow and grow. And then he comes back to Little Rock, and you see the young people at his camp just, wide-eyed, staring at him, looking for an opportunity to talk to him. And he's walking around with the Larry O'Brien trophy that he brought down for the campers to get to see up close, touch the trophy, But Bobby, his foundation, he does a lot of important work. And it's good that he's giving back to the community. It's a weekend-long event. And like I said, I got to see him on Friday. After a year of COVID and not being able to do this, I know this meant a lot to him to get back home and give back to the community. But Bobby Portis is an Arkansas treasure when you're talking about a person beyond the sport and who they are as a person.
And the Bobby Portis Foundation benefits, aids, and serves single mother households in the Arkansas community. Of course, it's something close to Bobby's heart. He grew up in a single mother home. So that's what his foundation is about. And you can find more of that information on our website. Kevin McPherson, thank you so much for taking the time for our Hog Hoops Report. This full interview can be found on our website. Kevin, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Nick. You too.
We'll be right back with more Pig Trail Show.